1 minute, please. 1 minute.
Yeah.
So traveler can get local map. So this place is like recommended by local. So your traveler can see the so, like information.
Yeah. Well, so based on like what you were talking about earlier.
Yes. So you can see the profile. So something like this. And like now it's like we created a like profile page, and we create the community tag is Shipaton and the revenue cat team.
Love it.
So you can filter on the map by Shipatons or revenue cat team, something like that. So I want to do this like where from?
The United States.
Which
like
part?
City? St. Louis is the.
St. Louis. So please recommend one spot traveler recommend and local do.
For sure. Let's see. Like a place.
Yes. Like local restaurant or local people do go. It's fun. Doesn't have to be famous. That's it. Like.
It's almost better if it's not famous, right? So let's see.
Foodie, like good, delicious.
There's a place called. This is my favorite Italian place.
Cool. You can find.
There we go. That one right there.
You can, if you want, you can send a voice if you want.
Use voice.
Yes.
To like just to talk.
Yeah.
Let's see. Why do I recommend it? Has the best carbonara in town.
It takes time, but we just update soon. We use no code like Airtable as backend.
Oh, okay. Airtable is backend.
So that's why it takes time. Like
now,
this is the United States.
I think
this is Korea.
Yeah, that's Korea.
Okay.
So if you zoom out.
Yeah.
Now we should see.
St. Louis. Please.
Carbonara Delight. Oh, you're using like AI for a.
Yes.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Wow.
There you go. Look at that.
Yeah, my name, but I to change.
Let's see if they have a picture of the carbonara.
Oh, cool. It's just so like delicious.
Oh, it's so good.
It's like more like authentic.
This was my favorite Italian place growing up. His nephew opened a restaurant in my neighborhood, and I'm like, oh my gosh, so good.
Okay, I need to go. And the concept is like traveler can see your profile, can connect, chat, something like this.
Love it.
So we love this. Very
cool.
Thank you very much for today. Thank you for feedback. Thanks. This is my goal for Korea. Thank you. We'll keep improving every fucking day. We'll make more perfect.
That's the way to keep growing.
Yes. We'll do it. Thank you very much.
Sweet.
Do you have any advice to me or to team, like project?
I think exactly what you just said. Just keep improving. Find a new thing to improve every day.
Okay.
And then what is the phrase? Like, if you keep taking small steps, eventually you'll look back and see that you covered a vast distance.
Step by step.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Gigantic hackathon right now. We call it the Shipathon because we like puns. But that's because the whole point of the hackathon is ship an app during this hackathon. And so it's currently running right now, and it'll run until the end of September. And so if you can build and ship an app in that time frame, you'll be eligible for this. We're giving away a ton of stuff. There's over $350,000 in prizes across a bunch of different categories. We're also putting the winners in each category on a huge billboard in Times Square, which I'm very excited about. And we made trophies. This is the same company that produces the trophies for the Grammys, if you've heard of them. I don't know why, but we thought it was funny to tell them to make a squirrel dressed up as a cat as a trophy, and then they did. So we're handing those out. We have a conference for a company that's going to be in New York, so we'll also film all of this as well. So definitely check that out. So on the left there, that's revenuecat.com. You can learn all about RevenueCat, and then the Shipathon is what's happening, and you can the link for that is on the right, and you can sign up for that right now. Yes.
I'm also participate in these hackathons. Like I hear the number of participants is increasing 10x number than last year.
Yeah.
So what's happening?
It's a little deceiving. Okay. Yeah. So it is really, really big, and it truly is really, really big. But if you look at the page right now, the site we use for hosting it is called DevPost. I think it's over like 45,000
It's crazy.
participants. There's definitely some spam going on there because, sorry, I know I keep pitching this, but that's what I do. We also have a thing we call the Ship Kit, which is whenever you sign up, we'll send you an email with a whole bunch of discounts. Like, I think you get 3 months free of the creator tier of 11 labs, like AI voice stuff. I can't think of them all off the top of my head, but there is a huge list. And more companies keep calling us and asking if they can join, and we're like, sure. And then we send it to everybody else. So we have there's a whole bunch of giveaways. But because of that, I think a lot of people are signing up just to get our discounts, which is fine because, people using the discounts means more people using the stuff. But yeah, it does make that number inflated. But that said, there is a lot. If you go to Twitter or YouTube or anywhere and you just look at the hashtag Shipathon, you'll see a lot of his videos, but you'll just see hundreds and hundreds of people building in public and talking about the things that they're building. It's been really, really fun from our perspective. So definitely check that out. And I will stop talking. You need to take the mic away from me or I'll just keep going. But that is, that is all I have. Oh yeah, this is me. You can scan that and go to my website and see my Twitter and Threads and Mastodon and Blue Sky. I guess I haven't updated it for that. And whatever the new social network is tomorrow, I'll be on that as well. So yeah, that's me. That's all I got.
All right. Explain how you personally promote your apps.
Yeah, so on the indie side. So I am definitely much bigger on the big splashy launches where I'm aiming for press and I'm aiming for Apple editorial features. So here, actually, I can show you why. So if we go to just revenue here, so whenever a new version of iOS comes out, for example, I will be very, very intentional about looking at all the new features that Apple's released and trying to figure out what I think the team at Apple that does editorial for the App Store, what are they going to want to promote? What are the features that they care about? And I will do two things. One, I'll build features specifically, not just using it, but that highlight that feature that Apple built on purpose. And then the second thing I'll do is I will promote as heavily as I can that feature across Twitter and LinkedIn and try and get the press to talk about that feature explicitly. And the reason for that is because, again, I'm trying to make something for the App Store editorial team. And so if I look at revenue and go back, here, let's do this monthly and go back, let's just do all the time. Is that actually all time? Oh yeah, there you go. So here, let's do daily. That'll show it a little bit more dramatically. So this right here, that was the day iOS, I don't know what version of iOS we're on. iOS 17, I think, came out. But it had the standby widgets. So the widgets that show whenever your phone is sideways on your alarm. And that's one of those weird features that I don't think a lot of people actually use. But I knew Apple cared a lot about it. So it wasn't a lot of work for me to build that feature into the app, but I shot videos of it on my nightstand and promoted that use case really heavily as a wow, look, with just hardly any work at all, I was able to create this new system that makes it a lot easier for people when they're going to bed to hit this button. And yeah, that was for users, sure, but really I made that content for Apple editorial and hoping that they would see it. And the same goes for the control center widgets that show on your phone and now they show on your watch. And I didn't get the biggest bump in the world, but my app was in the WWDC keynote this year. And it was because they saw that I was using those control center widgets And then they're like, oh yeah, he'll do the same thing for the watch, which it turned out I didn't even have to write any code for because it just came for free. So I didn't even do any work. But then, you know, because I'm building things for them specifically, I'm kind of feeding them something and then hoping that they'll, you know, feature me, which then, as you can see, gives me these spikes. That said, this doesn't look like a durable business where I could hire employees. So I wouldn't recommend my strategy necessarily for long-term growth. But if you see that opportunity, I think it's absolutely worth, especially right now, this time of year, because in a week, Apple's going to announce the new iPhone, and then a week after that, the new version of iOS is going to come out. And even in just 2 weeks, if you look, like, what I would recommend right now is, what is the Apple Intelligence, what is it called? The new model, Foundation models, yes, thank you. So yeah, I've been very busy this summer with all this Shipathon stuff, but I did make sure I spent time and built a feature that uses the Foundation models and specifically highlighted on Twitter and Threads and everywhere that the Foundation models made it so easy for me to add this feature, which is actually true, but also I know they're going to make lists on the App Store that are best apps that use Apple Intelligence or something like that. So I think it's worth trying, and it can help bootstrap an app and get things going.
Yeah, thanks for your question, for your response. And I have a second question, like, how heavily you rely on the paid marketing? Like, you ship the product, you ship the app. So what is your first steps for promoting? Like, do you buy ads from the Facebook or Google, or you just first try to promote it via your blog or maybe working with the bloggers? Like, what is your steps?
I probably should do paid advertising. I've tried a little bit with Apple search ads, but haven't had a whole lot of luck. But I very heavily rely on both the Apple stuff, but also like press relationships and just being social. So the build in public thing, that is how I got attention in the first place. Like, I didn't know anybody in this. I had only been developing iOS apps for like 6 months whenever I released this app. But because I was building it publicly and I was engaging with people would give me suggestions and I would implement them and think them, and then they would give me more suggestions, and it created kind of this loop. And whenever I did that consistently enough, it kind of captured random press people who pay attention as well. And then once I formed those relationships, I kind of kept adding more, and I didn't make enemies. I think that's another thing. If you're gonna play the game of be friends with the development community, be friendly, be helpful, help other people out constantly. And that honestly is the real foundation of this app, which again, is not my full-time job. Like, I'm not saying this is the best way to make $1 million, business, but certainly as a nice app that if I ever wanted to, I do think I could build on top of this by implementing a lot of the stuff I just talked about in my app instead of just for work. But right now it's got like a healthy base of users, and I think most of that has come through engaging with the community and building stuff for the press, basically.
So thank you for pitching. My question is like, how can we accelerate building public engagement? By so far, like we post every 30 days, like on every platform, and our app is not for developers. Our is for more travelers or locals. That's why it's a little bit tricky to engage because they're not interested in much development journey. But right. I wanna involve a development journey them still. Like, how can we find the good balance and accelerate building public engagement for travelers or locals, from your standpoint?
Yeah, I think that's a trick, is like building in public and building for other developers is a different audience than normal users.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like in my case, the overlap is pretty high, but most of the time that's not really the case. And so then you have to decide, you know, do you if you want that social account to be your social account that you're using to reach new users, then you probably should be less technical in that context and make content that's actually useful for them. A lot of times, like, the best things to do is to literally just make content that's actually useful or entertaining or whatever, and it's not about pushing your app at all, but then somehow your app branding is there to kind of make that association. But people they're not gonna pay attention if it's just
Developing.
It's just ads or if it's just developer content. But that said, you can make it developer content oriented and build an audience there. And that is an audience that you can then work with.
So start with developer audiences at first, even though the product is not for developers.
I think the developer audience is often
Like
a
travel.
lot easier for developers to reach.
I see.
So it's something you can try. And then maybe you make a separate, you know, Instagram account or something like that that's for your app specifically. And there you can just put content on there. That said, I've seen like sorry, I know I'm talking a lot. There's an app called Equestrian Health. I think that's the name. It's a girl named Nicole who's a like professional horseback rider who is building an app for taking care of your horses. And she's not a developer, she hired a developer. But her Instagram is filled, I should probably like figure out how to pull that up, but her Instagram is filled with stories about building her business. And I think it actually is helping her a lot. But she's not writing code in Instagram, right? She's talking about like, today I had a whole bunch of phone calls to try and figure out how to deal with taxes. Isn't that crazy? But now I can finally relax by riding, you know, Bessie, my favorite horse, or whatever. And people are interested in people's journey. It's just if you get really, really technical, then you're going to lose the audience that doesn't understand the code. But that doesn't mean you can't share your building journey and it be accessible for more people.
Thank you.
And sometimes I feel people, depending on the business, they don't target the right social media.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're for maybe doing stuff for travelers, maybe like Twitter or LinkedIn are maybe not the best social media, but something like Instagram,
Exactly.
where travel people mostly use. So. Any other question? Yeah.
Hey, I just want to know if you have any statistical data on acquisition costs, so cost per downloads depending on Android and Apple.
So we have a thing called the, hold on one second. We have a thing called the State of Subscription Apps. This is a report that we do every year that's based on, like, we have the largest data set outside of Google and Apple of app developers, and we can anonymize all of that and then share out like trends in the industry. I believe we do talk about, we might not have acquisition costs now that you say that. We have lifetime value, like average lifetime value, I think is in there. Yeah, I don't remember specifically if we have that, but this is a really nice resource for just trying to understand the state of the world, just because a lot of us are kind of groping in the dark. You know, like Facebook and all these big companies have huge user bases, so they can understand the world a little bit better. But for smaller developers, something like this can be really helpful. So I would recommend checking that out. But yeah, I guess I don't have an answer to your actual question. Sorry.
Do you find any difference in churn rate depending on the platform?
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember if the churn rate is that different. Certainly, the like activation rates are are lower on Android compared to iOS, at least globally. Although, if I'm remembering correctly, in certain regions, I think Korea being one of them, Android is actually really similar to iOS in terms of like lifetime value per customer that you get. But I don't remember if churn rate is different between platforms actually, like specifically.
Yeah, cool. Sounds great. Thank you.
Any other question? No? Yeah?
Can I just
Yeah, yeah.
mention?
What?
I don't need a mic. If you go to all of the MMPs, like they have tons of data that they publish like on a quarterly basis. Like go to AppsFlyer, Adjust, and Kochiba, and like they have like so much like state of like it's very similar to what Revenue Cap has, and you can find cost per installs, LTVs, churn rates. Sometimes it's broken down by categories and also by countries.
Although that was the end, wasn't it? Or no?
All right. The last question. I had one which was, so many people say that if you make money on your app using subscription or one-time purchase when you purchase the app in the first place, now we have cross-platform like framework to do both app on iOS and Android, but most of people, they will suggest if you do subscription-based or in-app purchase, go for iOS because the people pay way more on iOS than they would do on Android. And if you would go for like ads, go for Android because there are way more people using Android phones than. And I think this is one of the conversation we had at the iOS meetup a couple of months ago. So what's your take on this one?
I mean, that's often true, but that's not always true. It's really like everything. It's really region specific, and I think a lot of times people make a lot more money on Android or on iOS than Android, partially because they try a lot harder on iOS than Android because of that reputation.